When life leaves you high and dry, I'll be at your door tonight. If you need help, if you need help, I'll shut down the city lights. I'll lie, cheat, I'll beg and bribe to make you well, to make you well. When enemies are at your door, I'll carry you away from more. If you need help, if you need help, your hope dangling by a string, I'll share in your suffering to make you well, to make you well. Give me reasons to believe that you would do the same for me, and I would do it for you, for you. Baby, I'm not moving on, I'll love you long after you're gone. For you, for you. You would never sleep alone, I'll love you long after you go, and long after you're gone, gone, gone. When you fall like a statue, I'm gonna be there to catch you, put you on your feet, you on your feet. And if your wall is empty, not a thing will prevent me. Tell me what you need, what do you need? I surrender honestly. You've always done the same for me, and I would do it for you, for you. Baby, I'm not moving on, I'll love you long after you're gone. For you, for you. You would never sleep alone, I'll love you long after you go, and long after you're gone, gone, gone. You're my backbone, you're my cornerstone, you're my crutch when my legs stop moving. You're my head start, you're my rugged heart, you're the pokes that I've always needed. Like a drum, baby, don't stop beating. Like a drum, baby, don't stop beating. Like a drum, baby, don't stop beating. Like a drum, my heart never stops beating. For you, for you. Baby, I'm not moving on, I'll love you long after you're gone. For you, for you. You would never sleep alone, I'll live you long after you go. For you, for you. Baby, I'm not moving on, I'll love you long after you're gone. For you, for you. You would never sleep alone, I'll love you long, long after you're gone. Like a drum, baby, don't stop beating. Like a drum, baby, don't stop beating. Like a drum, baby, don't stop beating. Like a drum, my heart never stops beating for you. And long after you're gone, 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 I'll love you long after you're gone, gone, gone.
Easter in Unity is known as an experience of renewal, a time of rebirth, a time of remembering our divine inheritance and knowing that our true nature lies in our immortality, knowing that life does not begin with birth and does not end with death. So every character in this Easter story, they are characters in our consciousness. Every lesson, every learning, every elevation in the Easter story, every overcoming is our overcoming. This is something that we can experience on a perpetual basis in order to really know the renewal that Easter has for us. It becomes a consciousness. It becomes a consciousness that we become aware of, that life in the human condition and the spiritual condition is a balance of crucifixion and resurrection. It's a balance of falling asleep and waking up. It's a balance of recognizing our true identity and also being present to our suffering, being present to the conditions of the world, being present to the limitations that feel very real to us. So on this Easter Sunday, let us let the unity message of Easter, that unity consciousness, that Easter is not just something that happened years ago. It is an eternal, perpetual experience that we can have in every moment. I want to share some words about Easter from Unity's favorite, Eric Butterworth. Eric Butterworth says this in Celebrate Yourself. He says, Easter at its best is not a backward glance to the cross, the tomb, and the resurrection. It is a forward look to the quality of life it forecasts for all persons. It is not the story of God playing man, but of man at his best, demonstrating the God potential in all men. He goes on to say, Easter says to everyone, no matter what challenges you may be facing in your life, with the right attitude, you can go through them, even grow through them, and no tomb of human despair can hold you back. And now for our youth blessing. We love you, we bless you, and we appreciate you just the way you are. We love you. We bless you. We appreciate you just the way you are.
Good morning, Unity Village Chapel, and happy Easter. I'm Reverend Diana Kennedy, and I'm sharing the announcements with you this morning. Unity Village Chapel continues to inspire spiritual growth and abundant living through a myriad of online activities and connection groups. Be sure to check out our website for more details. One of our featured groups is the Prayer Chaplain Training Program. For those of you who want to be on the Unity Village Chapel prayer team and help to hold our community in the highest consciousness through prayer, visit the Unity Village Chapel website and the Facebook event for more details. And speaking of Facebook, be sure to join the UVC community page where we inspire spiritual growth and where we share stories and connect with one another, even when physically distant. Today's the last day to sign up for our online spring spirit groups. We have 9 topics to nourish your soul and to support you in remaining connected with the community. Visit the UVC website at unityvillagechapel.org/spirit group registration to sign up today. And last but certainly not least, please know that your contributions and giving are making a positive difference, especially at this time. Our community has always asked for transparency around our giving, and so we want you to know that we are operating at 30% of our usual funding. And so let's hold together 100% abundant and our funding met. Together, we know the principles of abundance are continually blessing us as individuals and as a community. We know now more than ever that our blessings make a positive difference in the world. And so we hold our sustaining givers in the light. We see the gifts coming in to ensure income in these time of online services. God bless you, dear ones, and happy Easter again. Somebody loves you. Somebody loves you.
Good morning, Unity Village Chapel. This is Reverend Brandon Nagel, and happy Easter to all of you. I just wanted to share today's daily word, and the daily word for today, Easter Sunday, is Easter. Our affirmation says, I recognize the risen Christ in family, friends, and my spiritual community. Early in the evening on the day of resurrection, Jesus, unrecognized, joins 2 of his followers as they journey from Jerusalem toward the nearby village of Emmaus. Accepting an invitation to stay and share a meal, Jesus takes bread, blesses it, and breaks it, then gives it to his hosts. In that moment, their eyes are opened. They recognize Jesus, and alive in their hearts, he vanishes from their sight. Later, the 2 explain to others how the risen Christ became a living presence to them in the fellowship of breaking bread. Easter celebrates the risen Christ, an immortal presence freed from all limitation, awaiting the discovery in every person and life event. I recognize the risen Christ in shared experiences with family, friends, and my spiritual community. And our scripture today comes from Luke chapter 24, verse 31. Then their eyes were opened, and they recognized him, and he vanished from their sight. And so I would just like to say to all of you, happy Easter today, and I recognize that risen Christ presence in each and every one of you. God bless you all, and namaste.
Give me this day my daily bread. Forgive me all my trespasses, and lead me not into dismay. Let me pray upon the highest hill. Let me know the beauty of thy will, and from it let me not stray, but deliver me from negativity. Baptize me in your majesty. Christen me with the love that is free. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. When I realize that we are one, and only with these eyes do I see. Thy word is heard from mountains high, valleys low, through summer skies, in lands of war and lands where there is peace. Te te mahuta neth kadeshimach, Tulil hewa hela watesh bukta. From Catholic saints to Hindu names, Buddhist chants through Zen refrains, bless all the paths our feet walk to be free. Bless all the paths our feet walk to be free. Bless all the paths our feet walk to be free. Baruch atah Adonai, Om Shanti El Shaddai, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om.
So let's take a moment and prepare ourselves for meditation. So right where you are, I invite you to take a few deep breaths. A few deep centering breaths. Just allowing yourself to become fully present in this moment. Allowing this moment to have its way within you. On this day of rebirth, on this day of resurrection, on this day of life. Let life be celebrated within me. Let the life-giving energy that flows in and through and as me be a resurrection in this holy moment. Inhaling and exhaling, we remember this truth that there is no place to go to get more God. All Godness is right here, right now, available and accessible, in and through and as you. So we take a deep community breath, remembering that we are together in this time of meditation, and that this time together makes a difference. This time together has an impact on the peace available and accessible to the world, the peace generated in our world. So right where we are, we tune into the heart center. Grateful for this knowing of eternal life, that life has no opposite, that we are an inlet and an outlet of all that is God, all that is love, all that is holy. Grateful for the teachings of light that bring us peace, power, and harmony. We inhale and exhale into the silence. By the power of this practice, may all beings have freedom from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings know God as love and themselves as emanations of this love. May all beings know that they're born blessed and here to be a blessing. Namaste.
Morning has broken like the first morning, and blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the world. Sweet the rain's new fall, sunlit from heaven, like the first dew fall on the wet grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, sprung in completeness where his feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light, Eden saw play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day. Morning has broken like the first morning. A blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the world.
Today's conversation is about the radical rabbi, about a controversial figure who you might not think of as so controversial because we're not living in that time period. But in that time period, this radical rabbi brought to us an advanced God concept, an advanced concept that transformed people's minds. But if we stay simply focused on the story, we're in history. And this radical rabbi taught us to be present in the now moment, taught us that it's not just about him activating this God consciousness, but that it's about each one of us transforming our lives by taking on this identity, by raising our awareness and activating our own God consciousness, activating this God concept so that this story becomes our story. So welcome to Easter in the Unity Way. In traditional Christian scriptures, they chronicle the coming and going of Jesus, the life of Jesus. But metaphysicians, philosophers, and spiritual seekers don't stop there. They go to the realm of the emergence of the Christ within each one of us, so that we can actualize, we can go into what it takes to develop the consciousness and actually experience a resurrection of the Christ. So I was gardening this week, and if you know anything about some of the gardening life in Missouri, I was trying to dig up one of these weeds, and it was this weed that grows. Some of you might know what I'm talking about. It's this weed that grows, and it's this awful, terrible branch that's almost like a mini tree trunk, and it just starts swirling up, and there's all these parts of it coming off, and the thing about this weed is that it is full of thorns, like more thorns than I've ever seen on any other weed in my garden. And so I'm there digging out this weed because I know that if I clip it off, it just comes back. So I'm down there in the ground with a shovel digging out this weed, and I've gone around almost the whole thing, and I've got almost all of it out, and I've got my head upside down, my hair is hanging in the grass, and here I am with this weed of thorns that you really can't touch. I mean, if you touch it, it just, you get caught in it, it gets you get pricked immediately. And so I've got it almost out of the ground, can't touch it. I'm trying to shovel the rest of it out. I've almost got it loose, and what happens? My long hair and this thorny branch thing get tangled together, and I'm trying to get my head up. So I'm trying to lift my head up because I'm almost done getting this little monster out of the ground, and my hair is tangled around it. Now, any of you women know from using those old curling brushes that they used to make what it's like when you take your hair and you're curling it and you go too far and it's just stuck in there. So that happens. I'm sitting there now with my head hanging down, and I've got these thorns right next to my face, and I've got my hair tangled in them, and thinking, how am I going to get out of this? How am I going to get out of this? I can't touch it, and it's really tangled. And so I had to take a deep breath, and I had to get a little closer to the thorns. I had to just step in a little bit. I had to loosen my resistance and gently start prying at my hair to get free. Luckily, you can see that I'm here with you today, so I did get free. But I share this story to invite you on a journey with me. So let's lean in this morning. Let's lean into this story so that we don't get tangled in the old ideas of what we think this story is about, so that we don't get tangled in the weeds, we don't get tangled in the suffering, but we lean in just enough that we get what it has for us on this Easter morning. Reverend Brenda, a Unity minister that is one of my dear beloveds, says this about Easter. She said, the events of this Holy Week are extremely significant in both the framework of the Christian story and our own personal journey. She refers to the events as spiritual preparation for allowing the rising up of the divine consciousness within us. So we notice on Easter morning that Jesus is not in the tomb, Jesus is not on the cross, Jesus is not limited by a body anymore. She goes on to say, Reverend Brenda, it is the proverbial light within that gives us even the tiniest glimmer of hope that lights our way toward the rising up. How will we get there? She asks. How will we get there into the rising up? By deciding to make every step we take go in that direction. How will we get there? By deciding to make every step go in that direction. Jesus entered into the crucifixion, into this Holy Week, into the Easter story, awake, aware, purposeful, and through the crucifixion with mindfulness. So when we focus on this story, we could focus on how horrific humanity is, but I don't think that's the purpose of the story. I think we've had enough stories. I think we have enough understanding of how horrific the human condition can be when it's tangled in thorns, when it's stuck, when it's limited, when it is egotistical. I think this story is here for us so that we can see how we can be moved, how we can be transformed, and how powerful and holy and spiritual strength and the spiritual practice and awareness can be. So how can we enter the now moment of the Easter resurrection for each one of us? Are we purposeful in these moments that are right before us, right here, right now? Are we mindful? Are we trusting? Are we trusting the process? Are we trusting in our spiritual potential? You know, the ego's experience of crucifixion is really camouflage for the operation of the resurrection. I want to share a passage from Eric Butterworth, one of Unity's most magnificent spiritual teachers in the days of old. It's in his book, In the Flow of Life. And he says this, divine order is not simply an ultimate towards which to work through some prayer technique that claims its reality. It is a fundamental truth of every universe. There is always a cosmos within every chaos. There is always a cosmos within every chaos. Can we trust that? Can we have faith in that? Can we step into that possibility and make that possibility a reality? Because it doesn't just happen to us. That reality happens when it happens through us. We are part of the cosmos. We are part of God consciousness. We are not separate from it. So what is ours to do to step into each now moment with mindfulness, with the activity of spirit? Charles Fillmore, in his Easter talk on April 12, 1914, said this about Jesus. He said, "He came to save us from the limitations of our own minds. Everything is in the mind. Everything comes out of the mind," he said. "And when you find the power residing in your own mind, then you have begun the solution of life. Then you will arrive, if you follow your own mind to its ultimate, raise it to the Jesus Christ degree, you will find the solution of every problem that presents itself to you. And above all, you will find yourself." So let's talk about a couple of the things that Charles Fillmore said in that passage. He said that we're here to be saved from the limitation of our own minds and to raise ourselves, to raise our consciousness to the Jesus Christ degree. So what does that mean? Well, in today's language, Eckhart Tolle, the spiritual teacher, talks about the kingdom of God that Jesus was referring to, and he said that actually, if he were having this conversation today, he would probably use the word dimension. Tolle says, "I think if he lived nowadays, instead of kingdom, he would have said dimension. And heaven refers to a sense of vastness or spaciousness. So if we retranslate the words of Jesus into modern terms, it would be the dimension of spaciousness or vastness within you. The dimension of spaciousness within you. And what is it to raise something to the Jesus Christ degree? Well, spiritual teacher and author Deepak Chopra talks about the Jesus Christ degree when he refers to the third Jesus, the one he says we cannot ignore. He says Jesus exists in our own awareness at the level of God consciousness. This is the Christ we cannot ignore. This is our birthright. Friends, there's an idea, a concept of a second coming. Consider the possibility for a moment that the second coming is not so much about the man from history that engaged his awakened consciousness, returning in physical form to save everyone, but that the coming and the second coming is about the coming of the Christ presence, the coming of the Christ consciousness in you, and that second coming is really the awakening in the body of Christ, in the body of all humanity, and it is that awakening that we will collectively raise in consciousness together. I want to share a bit from my favorite Unity author. I think I could say that he's my favorite Unity author at this point, Sig Paulson. He says this in the book, Your Power to Be. He says, "We have inner work to do. The light is more than a subject of conversation. It is more than a religious concept to foist off on the world. It is an inner treasure to be brought into radiant expression through the exercise of faith, will, understanding, imagination, and now enthusiasm." Paul, he says, another enthusiastic advocate of the inner light or spirit, wrote to his friend Timothy, "That is why I now remind you to stir into flame the gift of God which is within you. For the spirit that God gave us is no craven spirit, but one to inspire strength, love, and self-discipline." Here again, we have the picture of an inside job, the acceptance and stirring into action of an inner light or spirit that has been buried for generations and centuries in the darkness of human ignorance and superstition. This light shines constantly, but we benefit from its power only as we grasp it and make it part of our own being. So here is to grasping it, like thorns to hair. Can we let it grasp us, and can we grasp it? Christianity won't ever save the world. Developing the Christ potential will. Namaste.
Thank you, Reverend Erin, for that wonderful, wonderful Easter message. And now we've come to that time in our service where we'd like to bless our gifts and our love offerings and all of our tithes. And so if you would just hold that gift in your hand right now and join with me in affirming the following as true for yourself and for Unity Village Chapel. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that we have, all that we give, and all that we receive. And in this now moment, we see that same blessing radiating out for all of us in our community, knowing that those who are experiencing financial difficulties in this time are blessed, and that they, in this moment, know their true abundance. And so it is with that affirmation on our hearts that we say, thank you, thank you, thank you, sweet Spirit. And so it is. Amen.
You're broken down and tired from living life on a merry-go-round, and you can't find the fighter, but I see it in you, so we're gonna walk it out and move mountains. We're gonna walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. I will rise up high like the waves. I'll rise up in spite of the ache. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. Oh, for you, for you, oh, for you. When the silence isn't quiet and it feels like it's getting so hard to breathe. Oh, and I know that you feel like dying. Oh, but I promise you, we will bring this world to its feet. Yeah, yes. Move mountains. Bring it to its feet. Move mountains. Oh, I will rise up. I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up. I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. Oh, for you, for you, for you, oh, for you, for you. All we need is hope, and for that we have each other. Oh, and for that we have each other. Oh, we will rise, we will rise. Oh, we will rise. We will rise. I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day. I will rise in spite of the ache. I will rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. spite of the ache, we'll rise up and we'll do it 1,000 times again. Yes, we will, for you.
Please join us for this Easter affirmation by Sig Paulson.
I believe in the authority that is mine as the light of the world.
I am willing to exercise this authority.
I appreciate my growing understanding of the authority that is mine.
I authorize only the images that free me and my fellow humans to be the lights of the world.
I am enthusiastic about the wonderful way my whole being responds to the authority of my awakening self.
Together, we affirm, I gratefully exercise my authority to stimulate the flow of radiant energy into self-expression through me.
And together, we close by affirming, let there be light. I give my wholehearted attention to the light of the world I am. I rejoice in the light of the world that I am. The light flows through my attention to fill my conscious and subconscious mind with radiant energy. And so it is. Namaste.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Light of God surrounds us.
Love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God